Making cosplay from scratch is tedious, hard, and overall time-consuming. There's just no going around it. But what if I told you the number one thing to make this process as stress-free and organized as possible is actually the planning? That's right, taking the time before your project to map out your materials and methods can mean the difference between finishing a week before the convention and crunching right before the con with a method you've never tried before. I have been crafting cosplays for over 12 years now, and after learning a lot from my own mistakes, I made a comprehensive guide to the best of my ability on how to plan your cosplay, and I'd like to share it with you. So, let's get started. Design origin and period. Before you begin to consider your materials, I strongly recommend you perform basic research into the character's design. The period and culture from which the design takes inspiration can help choose the right materials and techniques. For example, I'm working on Raiden Shogun from Genshin Impact, and in her case, she is the Archon of an in-game region that is inspired by Japan. Therefore, I studied kimono types, formality levels, the usage of crests, and so on. For example, I learned that purple used to be a dye that was exclusive for kimono worn by high-ranking officials and not by lower classes, and that her kimono is inspired by a very specific type of kimono called furusode, distinguished by its long sleeves and bright colors. I will do a whole entire deep dive into her kimono in an upcoming video, which will be part of my Raiden series, so stay tuned for that. Layer study. Characters have layers. Doing a layer study is by no means a new technique, and it's likely you have been doing it for a while too. But I find that there are different ways to do a layer study. The way I like to do it is by starting with a general naked body outline, and while having the reference open, I begin to draw the bottommost layer. I'm using an iPad for this, but before having an iPad, I just did this on paper. And to make your job easier, I made a sample template that you can use and download for free from my Ko-fi, which will be linked below. After I'm done with the layer outline, I add important details such as attachment points and color. I give each layer a number and a title. Then I begin describing which materials I would use for each component of this layer, and I list any specific methods I want to use. In this case, for Raiden's kimono base, I list which fabric I will use for the upper and the lining, and the method I will use to create the faint flower pattern. I do this for as many layers as I see fit for the project. Now to make the shopping list. I open each layer and copy over the materials that I need. Breaking the project into simple layers forces me to think about the tiny details, like attachments, matching thread, embellishments, and so on. Details that I don't necessarily think about when I look at the entire character as a whole. I recommend using different colors for each type of material, or according to which store they can be purchased from together. This helps avoid the situation where you place an order at a store and then remember you forgot to add an item, saving you not just extra shipping costs, but also precious time. Gathering materials. So now that you have your inspiration, materials, and methods listed, you can move on to shopping, right? Nope, wrong, no. You are going to go through all of your materials. Fabric, bias tape, buttons, foam, glue, thread, heating tools, needles, whatever it is that you own. And I can guarantee that you are going to find something that you already own and don't have to shop for. Not only is this saving precious money in a hobby as expensive as cosplay, but this is also sustainable, and we love that. And now that you have your updated shopping list, you can begin shopping and crafting. Workflow. Now that you have this mountain of supplies, where do you even begin? Well, really, it's mostly up to you. The way I like to do it is by starting with a part that really excites me, and that gives me a boost of motivation to begin with. For example, I already made Raiden's pauldron and shoes because they excited me. I also try to do any new methods relatively early because I don't want to end up doing something for the first time right before the convention just from the risk of messing it up. This means that even if I end up working really close to the deadline, at least I know how to do the remaining components. You can use a variety of tools to help you organize your workflow. There are great apps out there, but I personally find that a calendar and a handwritten list help me the most. Experiment and find out the best method for you that would keep you organized and stress-free. And now you're pretty much set to begin. Please tell me in the comments below which cosplay planning hacks you have been using and have found helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like, and if you would like to see how I make Raiden Shogun's cosplay from scratch, you're welcome to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!